Go Stray Dogs, Chapter 109, let's talk about it. Of course there are spoilers ahead, but I've been waiting to see what people say and then give my thoughts. And I have a couple theories I'm going to discuss in this video. So go ahead and like and follow if you like Bingo or Genshin, and let's get started. I first want to talk about eyes. So right here, this is Dazai when he's trying to convince Chuya, and if you notice, he's got very shaded eyes. So Harakawa Sensei has said that lightness equals good, darkness equals evil, and so in this moment when Dazai is trying to convince Chuya, he's being perfectly neutral, which, if you know anything about Dazai, is his natural state. If you look at Chuya's eyes, they're a different kind of gradient. It's dark and light, but instead of being horizontal, it's up and down, and this is the vampire style. Compare this to the villain Fyodor's eyes, though, are just dark. And what's really interesting is it's a bit of an inverse. If you see, the first time, this was way back in the dungeon in the Port Mafia, Dazai had clear eyes, Chuya had dark. Here, Dazai's eyes are clear, Chuya's are dark. And so even though Dazai is the captive here, and in both situations, when he's baiting Chuya, once again, his eyes are dark, compared to the last time he baited Chuya. And this could just be Dazai's eyes being brown, but it's really interesting when compared to Atsushi and Aunt Degawa. Atsushi's eyes are always light, but when Aunt Degawa is really acting against kind of his nature, his eyes go to this standard like how Chuya's are. Now, what is the point of all this? When Atsushi is talking to Aunt Degawa and he's wavering, we have Bram down here who is looking and kind of musing and says he's not that naive. For context, this is kind of what Atsushi is telling him, wake up, this isn't you, which is very similar to the plea Dazai is making to Chuya. But this kind of scene from Bram implies two things. One, that Bram knows what's going on in the mind of those affected by the vampirism, because how would he know what Otagawa was thinking? Number two, that Otagawa is still thinking, that he's not that naive, he still has choices. But it also means that maybe he could be influenced. And I feel like that's what these panels are really showing here, is Otagawa is flinching and he's saying things. And so is the vampirism an altered state of mind? Think of like with Q, where you're kind of under a form of mind control and your perception of reality is different than what's actually happening. Does vampirism allow something like that, or do they just have no thoughts? I need to know. But under the idea that they have thoughts and they can be influenced, if we take these things as true, that opens a lot of possibilities. Go to part 2 of this series, explaining chapter 109 and 109 theories, to find out more and how this ties into, did Dazai really kill Chuya?